Okay, welcome back. In this lesson, this is the seventh lesson, is about algebraic fractions. In this lesson, you have just to solve fractions, okay? But instead of numbers, here you have algebraic terms. I hope this is the easiest lesson you will come across, okay? Okay, moving on to the question. Now, if I revise your lesson, okay, I just revise. If you might remember, you have studied these types of fractions, how to add these types of fractions. Now whenever you add fractions, add or subtract fractions, you should always have the same denominator, or else you have to find out the LCM and make it same. Okay, now here, since the denominators are same, you can write, you have to just add the numerators. That will give you x plus 8 over denominator will be 8. Okay, these things you have already studied. Now let us check for an example where the denominators are not same. That will take this example, 1 over x squared minus 9x plus 20. From this you have to subtract 1 over x squared minus 11x plus 30. Okay, now in this, the denominators, it has not been factorized. Now first we have to factorize the denominators. Okay, now how do you factorize? If you factorize the first denominator, you will be getting x minus 5 and 4. Sorry, x minus 5 and x minus 4. After you factorize this is the answer you will be getting. And then when you go to the other part, after you factorize, you will be getting, it should be 6 into 5, 6 and 5. Okay, now these steps you have already studied. Therefore, after you factorize, you will be getting this. Now, are the denominators same? It is not same, right? Therefore, what we have to do here is, in order to make it same, you have to find the LCM. Now, let us find the LCM of these two denominators. Now, we are going to find the LCM of, what are the two denominators? You have x minus 5 and x minus 4 on one side, and then you have on the other side you have x minus 6 and x minus 5. Now you have to get the LCM of these two. Now how do you find what is the LCM of these two? Okay, this is the way we solve. Now first of all, check for the common terms. Do you have a common expression on both sides? Yes, that is x minus 5. Okay, and then what you have to do is, now these things you have already studied in grade 10. Now what you have to do is, take the terms which are not common. Now you have x minus 4 and also x minus 6. So you just multiply it by them. X minus 4 and x minus 6. This is the LCM. Okay, now in order to solve first equation, now you have in the denominator you have only x minus 5 and x minus 4. But what is our LCM? You have an x minus 6 term also. Yeah, you have an x minus 6 term also. Therefore, in order to make the denominators equal to LCM, you have to multiply this denominator and the numerator by x minus 6. Are you clear with that? X minus 6 you have to multiply. Now after you multiply, you will be getting x minus 6, and then on the denominator you will have x minus 6, x minus 5, and then x minus 4. Okay, and then on the other fraction, in order to make it same, you have to multiply this denominator and the numerator by which fraction? You have to multiply it by x minus 4. Therefore you multiply both numerator and denominator. So after you multiply, the denominators will be same here. Are you clear with that? Yes. Okay, now the denominators are same. Now what should you do? You have to just solve the numerators only. Here you have x minus 6, and then you have a minus sign. Therefore minus into x will give you minus x, minus into minus 4 will give you plus 4. Therefore x minus 6, x minus 6, and then minus x and plus 4, minus x and plus 4. Denominator you have x minus 5, x minus 6, and then x minus 4, right? Okay, now when you solve, the x terms will get cancelled off, and then you have finally minus 2 over x minus 5 and x minus 6. Okay, this is done. Okay, now if we go to the one we have to study in this lesson, is that they have given you how to multiply fractions, algebraic fractions. Now for an example, consider straight away I'll go to an example. Say they have asked you to multiply, you have to multiply x over y multiplied by 4 over 5x. This is just like multiplying two fractions. Even you have an algebraic term, you don't have to do any special things here. You have to just multiply the numerator and the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. Also, if you have common terms in the numerator and denominator, wherever you want, you can factorize them. Now I can cancel this x and x. Therefore, finally you have 4 into 1 is 4 over 5xy. Are you clear with this? Okay. This is about multiplying fractions. Okay. The other example, the second example is that I'll take 2 over x plus 3. You have to multiply this by x squared plus 3x over 5. Now how do you solve? Now if you look at these terms carefully, you will come across that you can factorize this further, right? If you can factorize, always you have to factorize them first. That is, this side you have x plus 3, and then on the other side you have x you should take out, that is a common term. You have x plus 3 inside bracket, and in the denominator you have 5. Now consider numerator and denominator. You can cut this part off. Therefore finally you have 2 into x will give you 2x over 5. This is our final answer. Okay, this is about multiplying fractions. Are you clear? Okay. Now this is the main part about division. Dividing two fractions. Okay, now here you have to just follow the steps you have studied earlier. That means when you come across to, say for an example, I'll consider 4 over 5, a normal fraction, divide by 2 over 20. How did you all solve these types of fractions earlier? The same method you have to follow here. Even if the numbers are replaced by algebraic terms, you have to just follow the same method. How do you write? You have to write the first term, first fraction you write, and then you cannot solve division. What we do here is you multiply. Now you cannot just change the symbol, right? Therefore when the division sign changes to multiplication, the fraction right after it, you should take the reciprocal. Reciprocal in the sense you have to change the numerator and the denominator upside down. Clear? So therefore 20 will go up and this will come down. So now it looks like normal multiplication. How do you solve this? The one we did before. You can factorize this and this, or this and this. I'll factorize this. So finally you have, also you can factorize this, here 1, here 2. Therefore final answer is you have 8 as the final answer. Are you clear with this part? Okay. Now we will move on to a question with algebraic terms. Okay, that is, we'll take as an example a over b divided by ab over 4. How do you solve this? Same. You have to first write the first fraction. You cannot solve division, therefore you change it into multiplication. Write the reciprocal, that is ab. Now factorize. If you can cut the common terms, here you have an a. That's all, right? Therefore you have 4 over b squared. Clear? Okay. We'll move on to another example. That is, we'll think of an example like this: x square plus 3x plus 10 divided by x, and then you have to divide by the fraction x squared minus 25 over x squared minus 5x. Now since these terms are bigger, you have to always try to factorize them. Now think about these numbers. You can factorize this, no? By just looking at the terms, you can say that you can factorize this, this and this. Shall we factorize this? Okay. Now if you factorize this, you will be getting 5 into 5 and 2. And the denominator will be same. Okay. And then I'll write the same mark. If you factorize this, how can you factorize this? X squared minus 25 means you can write as a difference of two squares. You can write 25 as 5 squared. Therefore, how do we factorize this? That is x minus 5 and x plus 5. Are you clear with this part? Okay. Therefore, here if you factorize, you will get x minus 5, x plus 5. And then in the denominator, you can take x out. If you take x out, balance is x minus 5. Now what you have to do in the next step, you have to write the same thing. Instead of division mark, you write multiplication and then take the reciprocal. Okay, let me do that. X plus 5 and you have x plus 2 over x. Now you write multiplication, take the reciprocal. You change the numerator and the denominator. X and x minus 5. Here you have x minus 5 and x plus 5. Are you clear with this part? Yes. Now you have to cut the common terms. See, you can cut this x minus 5. Also you can cut this x plus 5. Also you can cancel off this x and x. Therefore, what is the balance? You have only x plus 2. This is our final answer. Are you clear with this part? Okay. Let me take two examples. Let us solve this question first. X squared y squared plus 3xy over 4x squared minus 1 and then divided by xy plus 3 2x plus 1. Okay, now here the main part is you should know the way of factorizing. How do you factorize? First you have to always try to factorize them. Now see, you cannot factorize this, not even this, but you can factorize this and this. That you have to, it will come through practice. If you just look at the expressions, you should know whether you can factorize or not. Now if you can take out of this expression, you can take xy as common terms, right? Therefore I'll take xy out. If you take xy here, you have xy balance plus 3. So in the denominator, how do you factorize this? That is also it depends on what difference of two squares. Using that you have to factorize. Now see, I can write 4 as 2 to the power 2, x to the power 2. Also 1 to the power whatever the power, you will be getting answer as 1. Therefore I'll write. Now if I further simplify, you will get whole thing squared minus 1 squared. Now this looks like difference of two squares. How do you solve? How do you factorize? 2x minus 1 and 2x plus 1. Okay, therefore let me write the answer: 2x minus 1, 2x plus 1. And then you have to, now what should you do? You have to multiply and then write the reciprocal. Therefore you have x plus 1 here, and in the denominator you have xy plus 3. Now check for the common terms. You can cancel these two off, and what are the other terms you can cancel? These two expressions, and what is left? The final answer is xy over 2x minus 1. Are you clear with this part? Okay, and then we'll move on to the final example. Here the main idea is about factorizing. If you factorize, the questions are very easy. Over a squared minus 4a minus 5 divided by a squared minus a minus 2 over a squared plus 2a, a squared plus 2a plus 1. Okay, how do you solve this? The same thing. Now you should be able to factorize this. This is easy. This and this. Okay, how do you factorize now? It is very simple, right? You have to take here a is common, therefore you take a out, a minus 5. Okay, then when you come to this, how do you solve? You know the way of factorizing. Okay, here the answer you will be getting is minus 5, a minus 5 and a plus 1 and a plus 1. And let me factorize first. Here you have a, you will be getting there, what is the answer you will be getting? A minus 2 and a plus 1, minus 2 and a plus 1. And then yeah, here if you factorize this, a plus 1 whole thing squared. Now what should you do? First you have to change this into multiplication. That is, a you have a minus 5 and then you have a minus 5 here, then a plus 1 multiplied by, now you change the numerator and the denominator, you call it the reciprocal. Now you have a minus 2 and a plus 1. Now cut the common terms. You can look here, you can cut 1a plus 1 and then 1 here, so both will be cut off. Okay, and then you have a minus 5. So what is the balance? You have a over a minus 2. Okay, and the rest of the lessons will be discussing it. For further videos, subscribe my channel.